All right, while I was closing out my last video, Vid and Smokes started their game. So Vid went first. Smokes has trouble taking this from 2, so my first instinct would be to go 1 or 5, trying to set up 2, though there might be no setups. Maybe something like 6, 6, 8, 9. Smokes does something different, which also makes a ton of sense, which is I'm never going to do well in 2, so I'm just going to get rid of these squares. And he takes it immediately. Now he does take it with an A facing out, so he really has to be careful that Vid can't play safely in 9, because if he can, this is really bad, but Smokes has that controlled. So Vid probably is going to take back in 2, but Smokes has combo potential against the card in 2. Multiple different ways. Vid does not have a clean capture. I like this move. This looks already nice for Smokes. Probably, though, Vid can play in 9 with one of the 9/9s. It's ugly, but you do grab the card in 6. And grabbing the card in 6, because it has that A facing out, like it would be really good if you could grab that card and be safe. But even if you can't, it's beneficial to at least grab something. All right, Vid goes for Chaos, which is his want. He still has both these 9/9s in his hand, and he has given up all interest in capturing in 2. So the kind of safe play for Smokes is just block 9. Just play with a high number facing out that's safe in 9, and he builds this wall on the right, and it looks like he's probably going to do that. He could also go for 4 because he locks the card in 7, but I don't think you want to enter that chaos against Vid. Yeah. So he goes 9. This is tough for Vid. His remaining cards are going to be really clumsy. This is probably just lost. I think his only try on move 3 was grabbing from 9. Just, get rid of one of your 9/9s and grab a card. He can place in 8, but does he have counterplay against 2/9 A6/5? I don't know. He can play 4, which at least snags one card and does lead to a chaotic position, or more chaotic. So maybe 4 is the way to have the best chances. All right, he goes 2. This does not create a threat in 5. This game looks very silly. Smokes should just try to build out safely, I think. Yeah, so he takes safety in 1. He didn't need to block 5. He didn't need to block 8. Now Vid is definitely looking for the 1/9. Yeah. This game just like Vid starter, Smokes found a reply, Vid found nothing against it. He tried to create complications and they just didn't land this game. That's gonna happen. And unless he has some fantastic move in like 5 here. Like 9/9, 7, 4, and 5, if it set up 4 and 8, would be super cool. It does set up 8, though, not even enough to tie. But yeah. Yeah, he goes for it. But note, it's not even a tie. If Smokes takes 7, Yuna doesn't take it back. Right? Am I counting right? So Smokes would be up 8-2, and he only takes back 5 and 9. But yeah, obviously you play 8. I was just trying to count properly. All right, so Smokes gets second. I think he probably played the best overall. And Vid gets third, who I think was an incredibly dangerous opponent in this format, where the final 2 games happened to not work out for him. And so this final game was not the most interesting, but that's okay. Sometimes in 1 minute things don't click. It's really hard in open. Like if you look at good players in open, there are games they play great. Usually the very top players can calculate a little further, so you'll see some imprecisions around move 6 and move 5 that top players would mostly avoid between like very good and the very top players. But in a lot of games, they'll play just as well until something gets out of their comfort zone, right? It's when you're looking for something that the position hasn't clicked for you. And if the position clicks for you, you can play really well. That's not necessarily when you're ahead. Sometimes you're in trouble, but it clicks. Like you find the defensive idea and it all comes together. And sometimes the difference is there are like fewer positions for the top players that don't click. It's not that when it does click, they necessarily play better, though they can. But it's sometimes that like there are just fewer positions. Like if you look at my loss to Seto in Clan League or Clan Wars, whichever it was, like 4 years ago or something. He goes 9, I take an 8, I'm feeling okay. He goes 2, and I just have no idea what's going on. And I spend like 5 minutes trying to find something clean, and I just completely failed to. There were a number of ties. It was not like I had to find one tie, but I couldn't distinguish moves that looked like kind of good from kind of bad. I couldn't separate the ties from the losses. I couldn't find clarity in the position. He played a really effective move for just making it really difficult for me to think in ways I was comfortable thinking. And I just lost without a fight. Like I just played moves that did not put up a fight from there. And I think that's a good example of a player's comfort zone, mine, being limited, really punishing me. My guess is Vid had to be comfortable this game playing in 9. That's my guess. We'll check now. So Smokes cards. He had 926A, 377A, 881A, 29A6, and 6689. And Vid had 4A59, 5A67, and then the many 9-9s. His hand was not good, and 964A. Yeah, Vid definitely had a tough hand here, which does not help. So Vid goes in 3, and Smokes goes in 6. Okay, I was wrong. There is one tie at this point. Yeah, this was just really impossible to play. There was one tying move. The only tying move. Oh my god, this is one of if someone played this would be one of the greatest moves ever played. I should probably not even say what the move is because it would make the most insane puzzle. I have no idea why this move is the case. I feel like I shouldn't even say it because it's utterly batshit. It, as best I can tell, sets up nothing. It is not a move in 9. The moves in 9 were all losing, so all my criticism is wrong. Now maybe they gave fewer wins. So say 9974 and 9. There is one win. 881A and 8. Maybe 9964. Is that any different? There is one win. 881A and 8. So he has to find that. Against Vid's move in the game, Smokes has 4 wins. So we could argue that going in 9 was a better defense, but you probably lose either way. The tying move, I do not understand. And I think I will save it for some later puzzle moment. I'm going to screenshot this. I have a collection of puzzles somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I have it somewhere. Is it here? No. Alright, can't find it, so we'll just spoil it. The reason this move is absolutely wild is because, one, I don't see what problems it addresses on the board. Like, it doesn't set up anything. Okay, it blocks... the move is in 1. It blocks 1, which means you have a threat in 2, which kind of forces Smokes to play in 2, and Smokes cannot play in 2 safely because his A down, there's a plus in 5. So it's sort of a line of, I want to go in 2, but I can't, so I'm blocking 1 at a moment you can't go 2. Akiyama's good at this type of logic. Maybe Akiyama could find this move. But then the question is, which card do you put in 1? And that's what makes it even harder, because you have to keep 5A67 so that you have a threat in 2. And you have to keep one of the 9-9s, but you can't use both the 9-9s, so that tells you nothing. So it could be any of 9974, 9964, or 964A. My instinct would be it should be one of the 9-9s. I like to keep more variety in my hand, and that is correct. But how do you pick which one of the 9-9s? One of them wins, or ties, one of them loses. Which do you pick? You could say keep the higher number. You could say play the higher number. It turns out it's 9964 and 1. crazy move. Really hard to separate from all the other chaff. And what a wild move to play. Yeah. So this game was Smoke's reply to the starter was fantastic unless there was a forced win, which we'll check, but even still, I think like Smoke's reply to the starter, the game was over. Um and Vid had just no human chance to save it, especially in 1 minute. But like I would not expect to find that in 9 minutes. Like that's wild. That's a crazy move. I would not expect to find that in 15 minutes. Um, yeah. So Smoke, there was no win. Smokes played a move that gave him one tie, and it was an absolutely wild tie. This is another incredibly clean win by Smokes in this format, where he sees an opening move that the solver doesn't even think is that terrible. Like the solver says against the move, there's 33 ties, 7 losses. If you watched the last video, you saw my game. I gave my opponent 35 ties and 5 losses. So this starter, like by a tie loss ratio, looks better than my starter, and Smokes gave him one tie, and it's one of the most absurd move 3 ties I've ever seen, if not just the clear most, and then played very cleanly to win it. So another great game by Smokes, and my criticism of Vid was wrong. Uh, so okay, we'll send a message. This was actually ended up being really interesting. I think from a like learning perspective, the move here worth studying would be Smoke's move in 6. That was incredibly strong, and maybe the one tie in 1 if you want to learn to find outrageous ties and probably lose games you shouldn't, trying to play the most outrageous moves possible. But yeah, man, that's weird. Um, yeah, actually, very interesting game. Um, and another I mean, Smokes basically just played like not just like solver perfect, but like solver most accurate every game, except for one, and was I think the best player over the course of the tournament. Um, all right, I guess that's it.